My parents gave my college fund to my sister's wedding, so I cut ties and got rich alone. Now they beg me to come home. I'm a 19-year-old guy, and for as long as I can remember, I've played the role of the responsible one. Not the favorite. That title belonged to my older sister Jenna. But the one who stayed out of trouble, got decent grades, kept my head down, and made life easier for everyone around me. My parents didn't hug me much, but they bragged about me when I wasn't around. He's quiet, they'd say at family parties. Low maintenance. I used to smile when I heard that, thinking it meant they were proud. Now I think it just meant I wasn't allowed to need anything. Jenna was different. Loud, dramatic, constantly in some kind of mess. She changed majors 3 times, dropped out twice, and still lived at home at 27. But somehow she was always going through something, and my parents bent over backwards to fix whatever it was. When she crashed her car, they bought her a new one. When she wanted to start a bakery, they fronted the cash. When it failed, they blamed the economy. Me? I worked 2 part-time jobs in high school, saved every dollar, even helped cover bills when Dad's hours got cut. I never complained. I thought I was doing the right thing. That someday, all this quiet responsibility would count for something. When I got accepted to my dream university, state school, full tuition minus room and board, I was over the moon. I opened the acceptance letter in our tiny kitchen, standing in the same spot where I'd once done 7th grade homework while Mom cooked. I laughed, I cried. My mom clapped. My dad said, "We knew you'd do it." And when I asked about my college fund, the one they'd talked about saving since I was 10, my mom paused. My dad looked away. That silence said everything, and I swear, something inside me cracked right then. A week later, my dad called me while I was restocking shelves at the hardware store. He never calls. Usually it's Mom texting me dinner updates or sending links to discount sheets. So when I saw his name light up my screen, I thought maybe it was something important. Maybe he wanted to talk about dorm supplies or finally take me car shopping like we'd loosely promised for years. Instead, his voice was calm. Too calm. Hey, kid. Listen, there's something your mom and I talked about, and we just want to explain it before you get upset. My stomach dropped. He took a breath. We used your college fund to help with Jenna's wedding. I didn't say anything. I couldn't. I thought I heard him wrong. Maybe he meant a little bit. A loan. Something they'd repay. All of it? I finally asked. He cleared his throat. Yeah, most of it, really. The venue, catering, photographer. You know how expensive weddings are. I stood in the middle of aisle 6 between bags of fertilizer and paint rollers with my world caving in. You used my future to throw her a party? She's only getting married once, he said, like that made it okay. And you can always apply for loans. You're smart, you'll figure it out. I don't remember the rest of the conversation. I think I hung up. Or maybe he did. I just remember my heart pounding so loud it made my head hurt. I remember the manager asking if I was okay and me nodding like a robot. I wasn't okay. That night I went home and asked Mom why. Why Jenna? Why now? She looked up from her laptop, totally unfazed. It's her big moment, she said. You're still young. You'll have plenty. Plenty of what? Because right then I had nothing. Dinner that night was silent. Jenna was showing my mom centerpiece options on her phone, while my dad scrolled through his emails like nothing had happened. I sat across from them, untouched plate in front of me, heart pounding through my ribs like it was trying to escape. Finally, I asked, "How long have you known?" My mom didn't even look up. "A couple months, a couple months?" I repeated, my voice low but shaking. "You decided this before I even got my acceptance letter?" Dad set down his fork like I was interrupting his evening. "Son, it wasn't easy, but you'll understand when you're a parent." That line, "you'll understand when you're a parent," burned into my skull like a brand. It's what they always said when they didn't want to explain themselves, when they knew they were wrong but couldn't admit it. I stood up. "You raised me to work hard, to save, to stay out of trouble. I did everything right, everything, and you gave my future away like it was loose change." Jenna looked up, finally. "You're being dramatic." I turned to her so fast she flinched.
You knew too, didn't you?
She blinked. "They didn't tell me it was your college money, just that they were helping." My mom jumped in. "Enough! You're not the only one in this family who matters." I swear I felt something snap inside me. I slammed my fist on the table so hard the glasses jumped. "I have nothing!" I shouted. "You left me with nothing." And for what? A party? A dress? A fucking Instagram slideshow? Silence. Jenna's jaw clenched. My dad stood up, his voice stern. Watch your tone. I stared at them one last time. These people weren't my family anymore. I walked to my room, grabbed a duffel bag, and packed it without saying another word. That night, I walked out with $280, a half-dead phone, and no idea where I was going. I slept in my car the first night, parked behind a grocery store near the edge of town, where the cameras didn't reach and nobody asked questions. I had 2 hoodies, a mostly flat pillow, and half a tank of gas I couldn't afford to refill. I didn't cry at first. I just stared at the ceiling of the car in the dark, replaying every conversation I'd ever had with them. Every time they'd told me they were saving for my future, every time I skipped going out with friends to work extra hours because college is expensive. I was building something. They already planned to burn, and by day 3, I was rationing granola bars and using gas station bathrooms to brush my teeth. I kept telling myself it was temporary, that I'd figure it out. But the truth was I had no plan. No dorm, no classes, no home. I thought about calling them. Just to hear someone say my name. Just to feel like I still belonged somewhere. I even unlocked my phone and hovered my thumb over Mom's number. But then I remembered her saying, "You're not the only one who matters." I guess that was the moment I stopped wanting to matter to them. I applied to every place I could find. Fast food, retail, warehouse. Most ignored me. One place, a diner downtown, said they needed a night dishwasher. Minimum wage, cash tips. I said yes before she finished the sentence. That night, I scrubbed plates until 3 a.m., bleeding through a cracked knuckle and standing in greasy water. It hurt, but at least it wasn't quiet. The clatter of dishes drowned out the silence in my chest. After my shift, I curled up in the driver's seat and let the pain hit me all at once, and for the first time in days, I cried so hard I couldn't breathe. There's something humiliating about smelling like fryer grease on your day off. I remember sitting outside the diner on a milk crate, wiping down my cracked phone screen with a napkin, Googling how to make money online with no degree. That's how it started. YouTube tutorials, free PDFs, Reddit threads from broke tech bros. I'd always been good with computers, and coding seemed like a long shot, but I had nothing to lose. After work, I'd park near the library just close enough to steal the Wi-Fi signal and teach myself the basics, HTML, CSS, Python. My hands would shake from exhaustion, but I'd still keep going. I started freelancing, small stuff. $20 for a Wix site fix, $35 to clean up a WordPress theme. I was making just enough to buy decent food and refill my tank every few days. I still washed dishes, still came home to a car that stunk of sweat and fast food wrappers, but I felt a flicker of something I hadn't felt in weeks. Purpose. I didn't post on social media. Didn't tell anyone where I was. I became invisible, and in that invisibility I found my edge. Nobody expected anything from me anymore. Not my parents, not my sister, not the world. That freedom hurt, but it also gave me space to build. The first time I made $500 in a week, I sat in a laundromat staring at the PayPal notification on my phone. I could afford clean clothes. I could afford a motel for one night, a shower, a bed. I lay on that motel bed like it was made of gold. The sheets were thin. The room smelled faintly of bleach. But it was mine for one night. Mine because I earned it. And as I drifted off, I didn't dream about revenge. I dreamed about more. I just had no idea the storm Jenna was about to bring next. It had been nearly 6 months since I left. I hadn't spoken a single word to my parents or Jenna. I didn't block them. I just let the silence speak for itself. They never reached out either, which hurt more than I expected. Part of me thought they'd eventually call, maybe ask if I was safe, maybe apologize, but nothing. Then one morning, while sipping vending machine coffee outside a co-working space that let me sneak in on weekends, I got a Facebook message. It was from my cousin Lisa. "Hey, not sure if you heard, Jenna's getting divorced." I stared at the message, rereading it 5 times. I didn't know what to feel. Relief, satisfaction, anger. I didn't reply. Over the next few days, I started seeing the fallout online. Her husband had cheated. The marriage barely made it past the 4-month mark. She had moved back in with my parents, and their picture-perfect Instagram life had vanished. No more curated bridal brunches or honeymoon reels. Just silence and then another message. From Jenna herself. "I know you probably hate me. You have every right to. I'm sorry, just that. No explanation. No accountability. No offer to make it right. I didn't respond. I wanted to scream at her, to tell her I ate ramen in my car for weeks while she danced in the fairy lights they paid for with my future. But I didn't, because nothing I said could make her feel what I'd felt. Instead, I opened my laptop and finished the website I'd been building for a local bakery. Sent the invoice. Collected $300 and kept moving, because while Jenna was moving back into her old room, I was inching closer to moving forward, but even success didn't erase the ache of being disposable. Within a year, I wasn't the same person who left home with a duffel bag and a broken heart. I had clients, real ones. Not just friends of friends needing logos or website tweaks, but small businesses trusting me to build their digital presence. I moved out of my car into a shared studio apartment above a dry cleaner. The ceilings leaked and the neighbors argued through the walls, but it had a working shower and a real bed. That felt like luxury. I ate better. Slept more. Laughed occasionally. I stopped checking Jenna's socials. I stopped imagining what I'd say if Mom ever called. I told myself they didn't deserve a front row seat to my rebuild, and then one day, out of nowhere, I caught myself smiling while working on a new client's website, a custom design for a local dog rescue. The owner paid me $1,000 up front. That used to be a month's rent when I lived at home. Now it was mine. I started budgeting, saving, investing. I bought a secondhand laptop that didn't crash every 45 minutes. I joined an online coding boot camp with a scholarship. Every time I opened my inbox, I had new inquiries. My little freelancing hustle had turned into a full-time career. People in the co-working space started asking for advice. One guy, an older entrepreneur, told me, "You've got grit. That can't be taught." I didn't know how to respond. Nobody had ever told me that before. Sometimes I'd stare at my bank account and feel this strange ache in my chest, not sadness, not pride. Just the weight of what it took to get here. I had no degree, no family support, no blueprint. But I had momentum now. Still, I hadn't heard from my parents. Not a single word. And then, one night after work, someone knocked on my door. It was nearly midnight when the knock came. I froze. No one ever visited me. Not unannounced. Not here. I peeked through the peephole and felt my stomach twist into 1,000 knots. My mom stood outside in a puffy jacket, arms crossed tight. My dad was a few steps behind her, hands in his pockets. And behind them, sitting in the passenger seat of their car, was Jenna. I didn't open the door right away. Eventually, I cracked it just wide enough to speak. "What are you doing here?" My mom's eyes were already glossy. "We've been trying to reach you. You don't answer our calls." "I changed my number," I said flatly. "We had to drive around to find your place," she added, like I should be impressed. "Can we come in?" "No." My voice didn't shake, and that surprised me. My dad shifted uncomfortably. We miss you." "You missed me while I was sleeping in a car," I snapped, more bite in my voice than I intended. "Or while I washed dishes till 3 a.m. to eat." My mom looked down. "We didn't know it was that bad," I laughed. Actually laughed. "You didn't ask," she stepped closer. "We thought we were doing what was best for the family." And I wasn't part of that family? My voice cracked finally. "You didn't even pretend to care what happened to me." Jenna stepped out of the car then, but I held up a hand. "Don't." She froze. "We're sorry," Dad muttered. "Truly. We handled everything wrong." I looked at them, my parents standing outside my tiny apartment like strangers, and for the first time in my life, I didn't feel like their son. I felt like a man who survived them. "I'm okay," I said. "You don't need to check in. Can we at least talk?" Mom asked, tears slipping now. I closed the door gently, not out of spite, but peace. And for the first time since leaving home, I didn't look back through the peephole. After that night, they didn't show up again in person, but the messages started. Emails, texts, Facebook comments on old photos I hadn't looked at in years. My mom posted a blurry picture of me from my high school graduation with the caption, "We all make mistakes. Family is forever. Come home, son." I didn't know whether to feel angry or embarrassed. Then came the relatives. Cousins, aunts, people I hadn't spoken to since middle school suddenly just wanted to check in. One of my mom's sisters messaged me. "She's crying herself to sleep every night. Just talk to her." Funny how nobody reached out when I was curled up in the backseat of a Honda with frost on the windows. The one that hit the hardest was Jenna. She sent a voice note, just her voice quiet like she didn't want to wake guilt. I know you probably hate me. I deserve it. I was selfish. I didn't know how much they took from you until I had to come back and live in this house again. And now I see it, how they treat me versus how they treated you. I'm sorry. I really am. It was the closest thing to accountability she'd ever offered. For a second, I wanted to respond. Just a single line. Maybe. Thank you, but I didn't. Because what would come next? Guilt? A coffee meetup? A holiday dinner where we pretend none of it ever happened? No. I wasn't going to let my success become the rope they used to pull me back in. Instead, I channeled the anger into work. I redesigned my brand, updated my website, launched a new offer package. That month, I doubled my income, and I posted about it, just once. A clean, quiet update on LinkedIn, from homeless to building my own business. Grateful for the journey, they saw it. I know they did, because 2 hours later, my dad emailed me asking if we could have a talk sometime. I didn't reply to my dad's email. I could have. I even typed something out twice, but every draft either felt too cold or too generous. In the end, I deleted them all. Not because I was trying to punish him. I just didn't need anything from him anymore. A few weeks later, I closed my first $20,000 contract, a corporate gig. Full branding. Website, SEO, monthly maintenance. It was the kind of deal I used to dream about when I was watching coding tutorials in a parked car. I bought myself a new mattress, upgraded my phone, took myself out to dinner for the first time in over a year. Just me and a medium rare steak at a rooftop grill, looking out over a city I used to feel invisible in. That night, I posted a simple photo, my laptop, my desk setup, a cup of coffee. Caption, build something they can't take from you. It went semi-viral on LinkedIn. I didn't tag anyone, didn't throw shade, but I knew who would see it. 2 hours later, my dad liked the post. A heart emoji from Mom followed. No comment. Just that small red icon that meant she was watching. Then something I didn't expect. Jenna emailed me. I showed Mom your post, she cried. Said she always knew you were capable of amazing things. She's proud, even if she doesn't say it right. That line twisted something inside me. Not because I believed it, but because I wanted to. She added one more thing. Would you ever help me build a portfolio site? I want to start over too. I stared at the message for a long time. Helping her might have felt like closure, like control, like power. But instead of replying, I archived the email. Because I wasn't looking for power. I was finally learning what peace felt like. 3 years after the day I walked out of my parents' house. I walked into the lecture hall of the university I was supposed to attend, only this time I wasn't there as a student. I was the keynote speaker. They were holding an entrepreneurship summit for undergrads. And a former client, now a mentor, had recommended me to speak on building without a safety net. When I got the email invite, I laughed. Then I reread it 6 times. I stood behind the podium in a blazer that didn't fit quite right, facing rows of kids just a few years younger than me. Kids who still went home for the holidays. Kids who didn't know what it felt like to be forgotten by the people who raised you. I told them my story. Not every gritty detail, but enough. I told them about the job washing dishes, about learning to code outside a library, about building something when no one was clapping for you. I didn't mention my parents by name. I didn't need to. The audience was silent. Not bored silent, listening silent. A couple students had tears in their eyes. One professor stood in the back, arms crossed, nodding slowly. Afterward, the dean came up to me. You're the kind of student we want here, she said. If you ever want to take classes again, we'll help make it happen. I thanked her, but I didn't need it anymore. I had built my own curriculum, my own life. That night, I got back to my apartment, a nicer one now with tall windows and working heat, and sat at my desk for a long time. No emails from my parents that day, no texts, no comments, and for the first time ever, that silence didn't feel cruel. It felt earned, but the story still wasn't over. Not yet. It was a Tuesday when the phone rang. I recognized the number instantly, my mom's. I let it go to voicemail like always. But this time something pulled at me. I opened the transcript expecting more guilt. Your dad's in the hospital. Heart attack ICU, please. Just come. I stared at the screen, unmoving. This was the moment, wasn't it? The one I'd fantasized about. Their lives crumbling and me standing tall. I thought I'd feel cold, powerful. Instead, I felt hollow. I didn't owe them anything. But part of me still needed to see, not for closure. For confirmation that I had, in fact, outgrown the boy they left behind. I drove to the hospital in silence. Parked. Walked in with the quiet confidence of someone who knew exactly who they were now. My mom was sitting in the waiting room, hunched and small like a deflated version of the woman who once told me I'd understand when I was a parent. She looked up. Her face lit up with tears. You came. I nodded but didn't smile. They let me into his room. Machines beeped. Tubes everywhere. My dad looked smaller than I remembered. Gray, pale, fragile. He turned his head slowly. I'm sorry, he rasped. I thought I was doing the right thing. I took a breath, looked him in the eyes, and said, I made it anyway. That's all. Nothing more. We sat in silence for a while. I didn't reach for his hand. Didn't cry. But I also didn't leave angry. I stayed 20 minutes. Then I walked out without promises, without resentment. Somewhere between that car and this life, I became someone I never imagined. Free. And maybe one day, I'll forgive them completely. But for now, not being broken by them is enough.